and welcome back to Corruption of Colton Podcast, episode 17. And I've got some good news. My new podcast, Colton TV, is live on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for this podcast, go to the search bar and look up Colton TV, Colton space TV, and give it a follow. Pre-save the first episode and listen to it after you listen to this podcast, and start listening to my two podcasts. On Colton TV, I review cartoons, TV shows, and movies. Just like how on here, I review music. So if that's up your alley, go listen. You might have liked last episode of this podcast where I reviewed South Park Season 1, the first half. Well, I decided that I would be cluttering you guys too much. It'd be overwhelming for me to put the shows, cartoons, and music and all that onto one podcast. So I separated them. So if you do want to listen to this podcast, but still listen to me talk about entertainment like TV shows and movies, go listen to Colton TV as well as this podcast. Also, let's celebrate the fact that Corruption of Colton Podcast has broken to new platforms. It has only been on Spotify and Anchor for its first year, but it is currently now live on Apple Podcasts since I finally decided to pay the $20 a year for the Apple Podcasts program, the Apple Podcasts Creator Partner Program for podcasters. I originally was like, why should I have to pay to do this when Anchor distributes it to Spotify for free? And I'm like, you know what, if I want to grow the listeners, not everything in life is free. So I coughed up the $20 and we're on Apple Podcasts for both of my podcasts. This podcast, Corruption of Colton, is also on iHeartRadio. So if you're listening on iHeartRadio, thanks so much. We're also on Amazon Music now, and Pocket Casts and many other places. So I'm glad to be pushing. We're also trying to get on Google Podcasts, and I'll leave you guys updated when we're on Google Podcasts if that's where you prefer to listen to your podcasts. Anyways, today's album review is debut studio album by Elton John, one of the greatest piano players of all time and one of my favorite musicians of all time. We're going to be reviewing his debut album from 1969 titled Empty Sky. So let's begin. So the album starts off with the title track Empty Sky, and whew, man, is this a good song. I just love how it starts to ends. It starts with this little bongo intro, and I love bongos in music. I actually used to get music therapy when I was younger and in special education, and we would get this thing called music therapy where this teacher lady named Miss Angie would come in with a guitar and some instruments she would bring and pass out to the kids, and she would play songs on the guitar and you could sing along and play the instruments, and it was just a whole lot of fun. And I think she gave us a set of small bongos at some point, or a set of small drums. I think it was bongos. And I remember playing the opening section on bongos to this song, Empty Sky, and I think it's just a great 8-minute opera of a song. I love it when artists do little 8-minute, 9-minute songs. Green Day did it with Jesus of Suburbia. Elton John did it here. So many other bands have done it as well. I also like it when songs get really technical, which is why I love bands like Dream Theater. They get very technical and intricate with their instrumentation. So I love stuff like that, and I love this song. This is a great Elton John song and a great start to a career. I actually read that this used to be one of Elton John's favorite songs to play live, and he played it until the 70s. I guess his discography just got really big and he got other songs to play. But I hope that one day he brings back this song, because it's very interesting. The way they captured that perfect piano to vocal sound that they were going for this song, apparently they recorded Elton John's vocals and the piano playing in a stairwell, which is very interesting to read on this song. So that's a fun fact on this song's production when I read on Song Facts. So this is a pretty good song. Track 2, Valhalla, is a personal favorite of mine. Like, a personal favorite as in it's in my top 10 favorite Elton John songs. So, not only is this probably the best song off Empty Sky, but one of my favorite Elton John songs of all time, along with songs like Tiny Dancer, Crocodile Rock, Amazes Me, songs like that. This song, Valhalla, is definitely in my top 10. Mainly, you want to know why? Because of the fucking harmonicas. I love harmonicas in rock music. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but to me, a good rock song has guitars, bass, and drums. You know, like it's got the heavy guitar riffs, the punchy bass lines, the punching drums. But if there's one thing that can make a rock song even better, it's a harmonica solo. Like, I know that's very untraditional for a rock fan to say. Like, usually they think that pianos and other stuff don't belong in rock music. But, like, harmonicas, in my opinion, so belong. I mean, I hear from a ton of rock fans that are like, pianos is not rock, you know, rock music's heavy and all this. But to me, rock can carry other instruments, and harmonica is a great example of that. Even, I like it when I hear saxophone in some songs, which you don't hear a lot. I really love Valhalla. This is a great song. Personal top 10. I really should make a playlist for you guys of like all my favorite songs from the podcast, like my favorite songs that I've reviewed, and this song will definitely be in that playlist. So I think I'm going to pick one song from each album that I review to put in that playlist. So I'll definitely be putting this one in there. Anyways, next track. This next song, Western Ford Gateway, is like good house cleaning music. And I know that is the most random comment I could ever make about an Elton John song or any song in particular in general. But like, it really is. I don't really know what it's about. I haven't been able to decipher it from the lyrics, but it just has this like really nice like opening, like this almost like singing guitar kind of riff, and like these slow packing drums and Elton John's voice in the background just singing the lyrics, and it just has this very chill, relaxed vibe, and it's almost like something I would listen to while I put my headphones in and clean my house, right? Like while I'm cleaning my room, I would listen to this, or you know, doing dishes or cooking. This is just a song that I would put on in the background. Elton John in general is just someone good to put on in the background. He has a very calming, chill, relaxing voice, and this song is an example of that. If you're cleaning your house or doing laundry or something, put on Elton John. Give it a try. I swear, it really does calm you down. It really is soothing and relaxing. You really should try it while you're doing chores. Anyways, let's move on to the next track. Up next, we have Heim? It's spelled H-Y-M. I'm going to go with Heim. Heim 2000 is the next track on this album, and I love it. It actually has this Beatles vibe to it because you hear pianos, guitars, drums, but you also hear like percussions like tambourines and other stuff like that you would hear in Beatles songs. Like the percussion almost kind of sounds like the percussion parts for Hey Jude by the Beatles at times. And it sounds like a late 60s, early 70s Beatles song, and I am all here for it. I mean, the Beatles were around at this time, and they did come before Elton John, so they could have been an inspiration for Elton John during this album, for all I know, and I'm all here for this sound. If Elton John was inspired by the Beatles, can somebody tell me? Because I could totally see it, so somebody tell me if that's true or not. But this was a great song. This is a great song right here. I love this one. Heim 2000 is a pretty good song. Lady, What's Tomorrow is the next track on this album, and it's also pretty good. I feel like there isn't really a bad song in Elton John's discography. I mean, there are some that are more and okay than others, but I don't think there's really a bad Elton John song, or that might just be my love of music talking, because I don't think there really are that many bad songs out there, except for the annoying ones like Friday. I hate the Friday song. Hate that song so much. I really should make an episode of this podcast about the most annoying songs in existence, because that's one of them. But Elton John's Lady, What's Tomorrow is a pretty good one. I love the piano in this song. There's a great steady rhythm of piano here. And that might actually be because Elton John is just a remarkable piano player. I don't remember his piano playing being this good early on in his career, though. Like, I thought this was like a more later thing, where like in the 70s he started using piano in his songs more, because I remember a lot of his 70s songs used them. I thought he used more guitars early on, and I guess I was wrong, because here on this album I'm seeing tons of just amazing piano parts. It corrected me, that's for sure. I mean, the phrase "correct me when I'm wrong" is definitely true, because I did not think that he used pianos this early on. This is a great album so far. I love this, but I'm going to listen to the next track. This next song, Sails, is a bluesy tune, and I'm all here for it. There's even a bluesy, like, guitar solo in the middle of the song, and I love it. I am all here for it, but I'm just all here for an Elton John song in general. I mean, if I'm at a party or at someone's house or just at home and someone says, hey, let's listen to some Elton John, I'm just like, I'm all here for it. I'm totally down. You play an Elton John song, believe it, I will be dancing or singing along or something of that vein. In fact, one of my friends, his mom is a big Elton John fan, so one of my favorite topics to talk about with her is Elton John himself, because she's actually a huge Elton John fan. I'm actually going to send her a link to this episode of the podcast and see what she thinks, so I'm going to get her to listen to it. So if you're listening to this, my friend's mom, hi. But yeah, this is a great song. This is a great album so far, too. Oh man, I forgot just how good Elton John songs were this early on in his career. I completely forgot all about The Scaffold Grows, which is one of my favorite Elton John songs of all time. I didn't even realize it was on this album. I thought this was on like a later album. I mean, I just forgot how good this album, Empty Sky, is. I didn't know Elton John had such a great debut album. I mean, I listened to the other albums like Don't Shoot Me, I'm Just a Piano Player, or Madman Across the Water. I listen to those albums all the time because they're so memorable. I mean, Don't Shoot Me, I'm the Piano Player has Crocodile Rock, and Madman Across the Water has the song Tiny Dancer on it. So, you know, I always listen to the memorable albums, but I have not listened to this album, Empty Sky, in a long time, and I feel ashamed of that. Like, I should listen to this album more often now that I've rediscovered it and realized just how good some of the songs are on here. This song, The Scaffold Grows, might be one of Elton John's most, one of the most catchy songs of his career. I love singing along to this one whenever it's on now. Like, I know I'm going to be singing along to this one whenever it's on. I'm definitely going to be playing this a lot more when I have free time. You know, I heard the chorus for the first time in a long time, and I immediately remembered, my brain went back to all the times I've heard this song and realized just how much I love it. I remember just how much I loved it, and the lyrics started flooding back to me, and I started singing along, you know. Oh, high the scaffold grows, the plant life of your widow. Just such a good song to sing along to. It's catchy, it's fun. This is probably one of my favorite songs on the album. I am ashamed that I forgot about this one. This one's so good, and it has this great piano intro too, just like dong, 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 you know, so good. I love this album a lot so far. I am so mad at myself that I haven't listened to this album in years. Like, it's been a while since I've come back to this one. I listen to Elton John all the time, but I always underlook this album and just go, it's his debut album. It's a little alright. Because, that's how it is for some bands. Debut albums for bands and artists are usually kind of rough around the edges, and you don't really listen to them much. You usually listen to their later albums, but I really should be listening to this album more. It's so good. And this song is such proof of that. What I really appreciate about this track, Skyline Pigeon here, the next track, is its emphasis on electric keyboards because, remember, this was the year 1969. People weren't really using electric keyboards or synthesizers or anything back then. And this album kind of had a futuristic feel to it in some of the songs by using electric keyboards. But it still had that modern 1969 feel with songs that had bongos in it, right? I really can appreciate the effort that was put into this album. I mean, this is only a debut album, and I'm already seeing all the effort that was put into it and all the production, and just reading some of the notes on reading some of the production notes for this album. I can just tell how much work Elton John and his producers put into Empty Sky, and I can really appreciate it because I want to be a musician one day, and I know how hard it is to write lyrics and write melodies and, sing a song in a way that sounds good to you because you want to sing the song a way that sounds good to you, because when you perform it live or sing it for other people, you want to like it because you don't want to play a song for people that you don't like. You want to enjoy your song. So I get just how hard this album must have been to make and how nerve-wracking it must have been because it was only his first album. He was probably kind of nervous and like, are people going to like it? Are people going to hate it? I feel like every musician goes through that thought process in the beginning, and I can just really respect Elton John here, and I respect him in general, but I especially respect this album for just all the work that was put into it, and other albums had some great work put into them, like Madman Across the Water. I really respect that album, going back to that, which I can't wait to talk about Madman Across the Water here on the podcast, because that's one of my favorite Elton John records of all time, but also one of my favorite rock albums of all time. So sorry, I have hiccups now, but I can heavily respect this album, so I'm enjoying it so far. Gulliver / Hate You is like a 6-minute masterpiece of a song. It almost sounds like a freestyle track, just Elton John singing his heart out, and there's like these amazing sounding like harmonics, you got some fast drums, you got a really smooth guitar solo in the middle of the track. It almost sounds like a jam session, and I love it. Like, I just love how this song, though it's a serious song, it's got its lyrics and everything written to it, but it just sounds like a jam session and anything that a song that anyone could love while doing any activity, working out at the gym, playing video games. You could put this on in the background while you're playing cards with your friends or cleaning the house or doing laundry. In fact, just a lot of songs in this album is just good for any activity because it's just that good of an album. This song is great. This next song, Lady Samantha, is a really good one. It's actually one of Elton John's first real hit songs, and I love it. There's also some cool song facts here. This is actually one of the first songs Elton John ever performed live. He actually performed this at his very first live performance in October of 1968 at BBC. So that's a little fun fact. And it's just a good car song. Like, this is totally the type of song you would put on in your car, turn up all the way, roll down your windows, and sing along to. You'd sing, Lady Samantha, she glides like a tiger over the hills with no one beside her. Just such a good, catchy, sing-along song that you would totally listen to while driving or doing some kind of activity, right? I know I would. I actually sometimes sing this one. Embarrassingly enough, I actually love this song, but forgot it was on Empty Sky. But I listened to this one a lot, and embarrassingly enough, this is like also like a shower song. I sing this song in the shower sometimes. This is definitely a shower song. But enough embarrassing myself. Let's move on to the next song. All across the water, to the waterfall. Man, this song, Across the Havens, just is a very enjoyable song and a sing-along song as well. There's a lot of songs in this album that are just sing-alongs, and this is just an enjoyable song. Like, it's just a good one. I don't really know what to say about the song or how to describe it. It's just one of those songs that, like, you can put on your headphones and completely lose yourself within it. Like, does anybody ever listen to music and, like, just get absorbed into it? Like, actually, I had this conversation with my parents not too long ago. Actually, earlier today. At the time of recording this episode, it's December 29th, 2022. So, note that for anybody listening to this episode in the future, this occurred on December 29th, 2022. And I was listening to the album Dread Reverb by A Bath, which is one of the newer metal albums from this year, because I have a CD player. I have a compact stereo system where I can put in CDs, cassettes, play music from my phone, or play radio stations. It's actually the best gift I got this year. I love it. But enough about flaunting my gift. I put on a CD, Dread Reverb by A Bath, and I was listening to that while just scrolling Facebook and loading my refrigerator with soda that we had just picked up, because I drink soda to keep me awake in the morning because I don't like coffee. So I was loading the refrigerator with new soda. I remember it was Grape Crush and Cherry Pepsi. And I was listening to that album, and I got so absorbed in the album. Like, I got so lost in it. I was just enjoying it, listening to the music. My brain had basically turned off all other surrounding sounds. Does anybody ever do that? Like, you listen to music, and your brain is just, your ears and your brain are all focused on taking in the song. All other surrounding sounds do not matter, so your brain filters them out. That happens to me a lot, and that happened to me today. And my mom was making hot dogs for dinner. So she starts calling my name because the hot dogs are ready. And she's like, go, hot dogs. And I'm like, do I hear something? And then finally my mom screams down the stairs because I'm in the basement. She screams my name, and I pause the stereo, and I'm like, what's up? And she's like, the hot dogs are ready. I swear you listen to music so loud down there that you can't hear us. And I'm like, it's not that it's that loud, it's that my brain just tunes out all surrounding sounds. So my parents just kind of bitched about going into my own little world and my brain being able to tune out other sounds. And I'm like, I feel like everyone does that. Like, I get their point, but at the same time, it's like songs are just so good that how can you not absorb yourself into the song or into that album? And this song, Across the Havens, I don't really have like song notes or any extreme comments to make about it like I do some songs. This is just a good song. And sometimes that's all you can say about a song. It's a good song, right? You know? I try to make my reviews really thorough and interesting and long, just so you kind of have, so you can get like my really good deep perspective on it. But it's like, I don't really have a deep perspective on it. It's just enjoyable, and how can I not, right? Like, sometimes the brain can't develop just a deep, heavy perspective. You just enjoy it. And that's what I think of Across the Havens. It's a good song. I love the chorus that you can sing along to. Anyways, let's move on to the next song. I love this one. I don't know why, but this next song, It's Me That You Need, made me go on some kind of brain trip. I don't know why. It just made me start having like 1,000 thoughts at once. Like, you know, like when you do like acid or like mushrooms or some kind of like like intense drug, right? And you go on like a trip, like your brain just freaks the fuck out, right? Well, for me, that's what happened. But I'm not a druggie, okay? I don't do acid or Molly or mushrooms or weed or any of that stuff that can make you have a trip. But for some reason, I felt like I was having one because of just all the thoughts that were going on. Like, I heard the lyric, "Look in the mirror. Are you afraid to see me looking back at you?" And just that started making me think about like how like sometimes you're afraid of being so ugly that you're afraid to see your own reflection. So I started thinking about that. Like I started relating to like seeing yourself in the mirror and being afraid of what you look like. Because I get like really bad acne because I'm not even 20 yet. I'm 19. So like I'll look in the mirror and I'll see all my acne and be like, disgusting. And I'll just be like, I feel gross. Like just looking in the mirror makes me feel gross. And I just look at it and I'm just like, ugh. I almost think I look like a pizza. Actually, that's one of me and my friend's favorite jokes to make is that I look like a pepperoni pizza. But you know, that's it. Because I love making fun of myself. But, oh man, I get so annoyed at myself when I see it. Because it's like no matter what creams you use or wash your face in the shower, it seems like it just doesn't go away. And how did talking about an Elton John song turn into talking about bad acne and being afraid of your own reflection? Well, that's what happens when you go into your own little world and listen to a song and some of the lyrics just start making you have 100 thoughts. That happens to me with some songs. I'll hear a lyric and it just pushes my world into this like daydream of absurdity, and that's what happened. This song put me in a daydream, but that's what some songs do. But is the song good? Yes, it's a great song. I love this song. I actually had to listen to it a few times because the first time I listened to it, I was having that brain trip. I was having that brain fuck going on, so I had to listen to it a few more times. And oh, there's my cat. My cat's over here. Come here, cat. He likes to sit with me while I record. Come here. Come here, cat. Come on, Nomad. My cat's name is Nomad. Come on. Hey. Hey. Yeah, now my cat is sitting on my lap. Is he going to purr in the mic? I'm going to see if I can get him to do it. Well, hopefully you could hear that. I'll probably get feedback from that from people that listen to this episode. I'll put that on Spotify. You can actually write questions to your fans. So I'm gonna write, Did you hear my cat? I'm gonna write that as the question for you all to answer this week. Okay. Anyway, the song is good. I love the song. It's great. I highly recommend it, and let's move on to the next song. Just Like Strange Rain is one of those songs where I really want to know what the song means. I think that the lyrics are very interesting, but I can't pinpoint what the song's about. I usually go online to a song meanings website to find out, or I Google song facts about the song, and sometimes you'll see song facts because you'll see facts about the song, like what it means because of like production notes, because artists will talk about what their songs mean in interviews and stuff. But I couldn't find much about this one like I did other songs, because I mean, I've talked about the other songs in this episode of the podcast alone, and previously I had talked about, the production notes I had found on some of the songs, but this one there are no production notes. But I'm really interested on what the song's about. I really like it. I really like the catchiness of "Falls Just Like Strange Rain." It's very catchy. And he says that his thoughts escape away like strange rain. I really like this song. I like the lyrics. I think that they're very deep and compelling. I just don't know what they mean. But I want to know. It's just one of those songs where you're really intrigued. But I like the song a lot. Just like Strange Rain, I guess I interpret it as like Strange Rain is like strange thoughts, almost like your weird thoughts are falling or something like that. Maybe it's about thoughts in some way. Maybe it's about thoughts escaping, maybe about escaping thoughts or something. I don't know, but I really like Just Like Strange Rain. I really like the song. So let's move on to the next one. In the end, this album is a lot better than I remember it being. Some of my favorite songs, like The Scaffold, are on this album, and I didn't even realize it. And there's just great songs like Empty Sky, Valhalla, Lady, What's Tomorrow, Just Like Strange Rain. There's so many great tracks on this album. Sales. There's just so many great tracks that I have rediscovered. It's like going down memory lane listening to this album. It's almost like remembering how great early Elton John songs were. And it's also like reverse memory lane because like I don't remember like the songs being this good, but I also remember there being great songs by Elton John that I did not know were on this album. So it's like memory lane and the opposite of memory lane. It's like rediscovering something you love, but also discovering new things you love at the same time. And I love that. This is just a great album for any mood. If you're cooking out in your backyard, grilling, you'll listen to this album. If you're going out for a walk, you could listen to this album because it has a nice, relaxing mood. There's songs you can sing along to, like Lady Tomorrow, that you can sing in the car. There's songs you can listen to while you're doing your chores, like Empty Sky. It's a nice 8-minute opera of a song that you can listen to. I would even say some of the piano parts are good for falling asleep to. So I'd say this is a great album. Empty Sky is a lot better than I remember it being. Top 3 songs would be Lady, What's Tomorrow, The Scaffold, and Valhalla are my top 3 favorites. And overall, I give this album a 9. A 9 out of 10. This is probably one of the best albums I've reviewed this year. But if I had to go to what is the best album I've reviewed this year, this is actually the last episode of Corruption of Colton podcast for 2022. When we return, it will be 2023. And let me tell you, the best album of this year that I reviewed would be Holy Diver by Dio. And were there really bad albums I reviewed this year? Not really. I mean, there were some weird ones with the Jonas Brothers album, It's About Time. That one was a little strange. But I've also reviewed just some greats. Holy Diver by Dio, Black Sabbath's debut is a classic, and I got to that this year. So I think I've reviewed some great albums this year. We had a little bit of cringe in there with that song 18 by 5 Seconds of Summer, or 16, whatever it was called. So there were some weird bunches in there. Then we had some great albums. We had some great stuff. We even had some fun episodes in here, like the Best Rock and Metal albums according to Loudwire and I, which is a Spotify exclusive. I've actually heard about people saying they can't find it on other platforms. That's because it's a Spotify exclusive. So let me answer that for you guys real quick. It's because of the copyrighted content and using music in that episode that I'm only allowed to put it on Spotify, because the reason I'm allowed to use it on Spotify is because I use Anchor, which is paired with Spotify, and Spotify lets you use songs. Spotify lets you use songs from Spotify in your Anchor podcast, but it can only be distributed to Spotify, however. So that's that. But all the other episodes are on Apple Podcasts now. We're on iHeartRadio. I'm pending for Google Podcasts, and I recently submitted to Stitcher, which means that this podcast will eventually be on things like Sirius XM. So I'm glad that I will be, and it also will be on Pandora, it looks like, which looks like is part of Stitcher. Anyways, remember to check out my other podcast, Colton TV. The first episode has now been released. I reviewed the pilot episode of The Simpsons roasting up on an open fire. And I will be reviewing more episodes of Simpsons in the future. Colton TV is on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts for now, but I am sending it to more platforms. So listen to my other podcast, Colton TV, along with this podcast, and I'm going to enjoy this experimental flavor I bought. It's good. I bought Grape Crush. Not a big fan of Orange Crush, but I saw that they had Grape Crush, and I was like, I've always wanted a grape-flavored soda, because I love Cherry Coke and Cherry Pepsi, and I love grapes, so I was like, a grape soda sounds great. And in this little purple can, so I'm guessing it's purple grape, you get Grape Crush. And it's good. A lot better than Orange Crush. Anyways. Thank you for listening to Corruption of Colton podcast, and I hope you all had a great 2022 and have a great New Year's Eve, as this episode is being posted right around the New Year's Eve time. Anyways, Happy New Year's to everybody, and I will see you in 2023. Thank you for listening to Corruption of Colton podcast.